I was 33 years old, sober for 11 months, 22 days, and 9 hours, and still sleeping with the matches under my pillow, like a child waiting for the tooth fairy to take the taste of smoke out of my mouth. I didn't plan it with gasoline and vengeance the way the newspapers later swore I did. I planned it the way you plan a suicide you hope someone else will stop you from finishing. Slow, quiet, half praying the whole time that the world will intervene. It didn't. I drove back to Sagan under a sky the color of a healing bruise, the Steens Mountains black against black, the only light coming from the dash of my Forest Service truck, and the occasional flare of a cigarette I wasn't supposed to be smoking. The red gas can rode shotgun like a passenger who knew all my secrets and still agreed to come along. Mom's house sat at the end of County Road 412, a sagging ranch style with aluminum siding the color of weak coffee. The porch light was on. It was always on. She left it burning for Lily the way some people leave porch lights on for soldiers who never come home from war. 20 years, and she still couldn't admit the war was over. I cut the engine 2 miles out and walked the rest of the way so no one would hear me coming. My boots knew every rock on that road. They remembered before I did. The air smelled like dust and juniper, and the particular kind of hot that only happens in eastern Oregon in August, the kind that makes you feel like you're breathing inside someone else's fever. The front door was unlocked. In Sagan, we don't lock doors, because the only thing worth stealing is the thing you can't carry, the past. Inside, the house smelled exactly the way I remembered, and exactly the way I'd spent 2 decades trying to forget. Viceroy cigarettes, Pine Sol, and something metallic underneath, like blood that never quite got cleaned up. Mail was stacked on the floor in slippery piles. Bills, mostly. A single postcard from me, 3 years old, nothing written on it but her address. She'd kept it. She was asleep in the recliner, oxygen hissing through the plastic tubes in her nose, the blue glow of the TV painting her cheekbones sharp enough to cut yourself on. 78 pounds soaking wet, and still the meanest woman I ever met. Her mouth was open. She looked like she was screaming without sound. I stood there longer than I meant to. I hated her so hard my sternum ached. I hated her for still being alive when Lily wasn't. I hated her for the way she looked at me the night of the fire, like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. I hated her for never once saying she was sorry. Not even when the sheriff came and took me away in the back of his cruiser with my hands zip-tied, because I was 15 and hysterical and covered in soot. I walked past her to the kitchen, unscrewed the gas can, and started pouring. It was almost gentle, the way the gasoline ran across the linoleum, the way it soaked into the carpet that used to be gold and was now the color of dried blood. I made a neat little river through the hallway where Lily's height marks still scarred the doorframe. She never got past 4'9". Across the living room where the Christmas tree burned that night. Up the stairs, I fell down, drunk the first time at 16, into the bedroom that still had both our twin beds, because Mom said throwing anything of Lily's away would be like killing her twice. At the top of the stairs, I took the matchbook from my pocket. I'd stolen it from the Smoke Jumper bar in Boise the night I got my 11-month coin. The cover was red cardboard with gold letters that read, "Play with me." I'd laughed when I saw it, not because it was funny, because it was true. I struck one. The flame was small, almost polite. For a second I thought it might go out on its own. I wanted it to go out. I whispered it like a prayer. Go out, go out, go out. Ledger. It didn't. I dropped the match and watched the fire chase the gasoline down the stairs like a dog finally let off its leash. The whoosh was soft at first, then louder, hungrier. It sounded exactly like Lily laughing the last time I ever heard her laugh, high and wild and certain the world would never hurt her. I walked out the front door, left it hanging open the way you leave a door open for someone you know isn't coming back, and stood on the porch while the house caught its breath and then started screaming. Sirens came 23 minutes later. Long enough for the roof to cave, long enough for me to sit on the hood of my truck and smoke 3 cigarettes down to the filters. Long enough for me to realize I wasn't crying. I thought I would cry. I thought that would be the moment everything inside me finally broke open, but I was dry as the sagebrush around me. The first firefighter on scene was Tommy Alvarez, who used to let me ride on the back of his dirt bike when I was 10. He looked at the house, looked at me, looked at the gas can still sitting in the grass like evidence that hadn't decided whether to run. "Cass," he said, voice cracking on the single syllable. Jesus Christ, Cass. Elle just nodded. There wasn't anything left to say. They arrested me at 2:14 a.m. for first-degree arson. Mom died in the burn unit in Boise 3 days later without ever waking up. The doctor said the smoke got her before the flames did. I sat in the Harney County Jail and waited for the guilt to hit. It never really did. What hit was something quieter. Relief, thin and sharp as a paper cut. Then the winds shifted. By the time they released me on a technicality, no witnesses, dying declaration inadmissible, gasoline fumes on my clothes explained by my job, the Devil's Broom fire had crowned through 60,000 acres and was marching straight for Sejan with a 40-mile-an-hour tailwind and the kind of hunger that makes even the old-timers whisper about the end of days. And the Forest Service offered me a job fighting it. Type 1 incident commander himself flew in from Missoula and sat across from me in the jail's consultation room, smelling like jet fuel and desperation. "We need every hotshot we can get, Cass," he said, "especially ones who know this country." Elle laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. "You know what I did? I know what the fire's doing. It's already taken 3 subdivisions outside Burns. If it jumps the Malheur, Sagahan's gone. Everything you ever loved, everything you ever hated." Elle looked at him for a long time. The fluorescent light buzzed overhead like a trapped fly. "Give me my Nomex back," I said. He did. I walked out of that jail with a red card in my pocket and a burn permit signed by God himself. The fire was coming home, and so was Elle. Spent the next 6 weeks on the fire lines, sleeping in ash, eating MREs that tasted like cardboard, and regret cutting line until my hands bled inside my gloves. Every tree that torched sounded like Lily screaming. Every flare-up smelled like Mom's house the night I killed her. I worked 16-hour shifts, then 20, then 24, because exhaustion was the only thing that kept the ghosts quiet. We built containment lines across ridges, as Niels used to hike with my sister. We backburned meadows where we had picnics. I stood on dozer lines and watched walls of flame 200 feet high, march toward the town that raised me and hated me in equal measure. People recognized me. Some spat, some cried, some just stared like I was already dead and didn't know it yet. On the 39th day, the wind shifted again, hard out of the west, pushing the fire away from town and into the wilderness where nothing lived but jackrabbits and regret. We called it a miracle. The newspapers called me a hero. They ran a photo of me on the front page, face black with soot, eyes hollow, Pulaski over my shoulder like a crucifix. The caption read, Local woman risks life to save town that once shunned her. I wanted to burn every copy because the truth is simpler and uglier. I didn't save Sagen. Elle just finally let it burn the way it was always meant to. On the last night of the fire, after we'd mopped up the last hotspot and the incident command team cracked their first beers in 6 weeks, I walked out to the edge of the black and stood where Mom's house used to be. Nothing was left but the chimney and a twisted bed spring and the porcelain sink from the kitchen, cracked down the middle like a broken smile. I took the matchbook out of my pocket, the one I'd carried since Boise, the one that started it all. One match left, I struck it, watched it burn down to my fingers. Then I dropped it into the ashes where my childhood used to live. This time, I didn't run. I stood there until the sun came up over the Steens, painting the burn scar the color of dried blood, and for the first time in 20 years, I felt something close to peace. Not forgiveness? Never that. Just the quiet that comes when everything that could burn finally has. And somewhere in the distance, I swear Elle heard Lily laugh. If you liked my story, you can support me by making a donation so I can write more stories. Thank you in advance. And you, what would you do in this person's place? I would love to hear your opinion, so please share it with me in the comments. I'm always curious about what you all think, and also write me where you heard this story. For more life stories like this, like the video and subscribe to my channel. There are many other stories waiting for you. With heartfelt greetings, Elizabeth Queen.